Hi everybody, I'm Lieutenant Commander Callie Gray and I serve in the Canadian Armed Forces. I'm just getting ready to deploy to Iraq pretty soon, but I wanted to take a few minutes and talk to you about Remembrance Day, the poppy, the motto, and why it's important to us as Canadians. Remembrance Day is coming up on the 11th of November. It's a day when we take some time out of our busy lives and we take that time to reflect on the sacrifices that others have made so that we can enjoy the freedom that we have in Canada today. It was originally introduced after World War I and was called Armistice Day in honor of the armistice, which marked the end of World War I. The armistice took place on the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month on the 11th of November, 1918. That is why every year on the 11th of November at 11 o'clock, we observe a 2-minute moment of silence so that we can remember and reflect on the sacrifices of those who fought for our freedom. Leading up to Remembrance Day, we wear a poppy. But why do we wear a poppy? After World War I, the Western Front was completely decimated. Because of the damage caused by the fighting, everything was gone. Houses, trees, everything. The first sign of life and regeneration were the poppies that started to grow in the fields. The soil was ideal for poppy growth, so there were fields full of poppies. A Canadian, Lieutenant Colonel John McCrae, wrote the famous poem In Flanders Fields, and his poem has inspired the use of the poppy as a symbol of Remembrance Day. Have you ever seen poppies by donation boxes at the drugstore or at the grocery store? These donations go to support veterans. Veterans are people who have served in the military, either in the Army, Navy, or Air Force. I bet you that when you think of a veteran, you think of a World War I or World War II vet. These people definitely deserve recognition, but not all vets are World War I and World War II vets. The Canadian military has not stopped fighting for our freedom and security. Canadian servicemen and servicewomen have continued to fight in wars like in Korea and Afghanistan. They've served on United Nations and NATO missions and humanitarian relief efforts. They perform search and rescue, and they patrol Canadian airspace and territorial waters. The personnel from the Canadian Armed Forces continue to sacrifice every day while supporting Canadian interests at home and abroad. So, some of the veterans you see may be younger. The motto for Remembrance Day is Lest We Forget. Do you know what lest means? It means otherwise. So, in other words, lest we forget means otherwise we will forget. If we don't remember, we will forget. And that makes sense, right? If you don't remember what your science teacher taught you in science class, then you will forget it. If we don't take the time to remember the sacrifices that were made, then we will forget them. We need to remember the conflicts that happened, why they happened, and then use that knowledge to help us navigate the future. Remembrance Day for me is a period of reflection, to remember those who went before me and those that I've served with, and to honor their sacrifices. Sacrifices come in many forms. When I was younger, I used to think that sacrifice meant paying the ultimate sacrifice, so giving up your life for your country. But now, when I honor the sacrifices of veterans and serving members, I also think of those who were physically and mentally injured in the line of duty. And I think of the sacrifice of time that all service members pay to protecting our freedoms. You know, the missed birthdays, missed holidays, and just the missed everyday activities that they don't get to spend with their families. Remembrance Day reminds us that we always need to remember the past so that we don't revert to those ways in the future. It's also a good opportunity to learn the story of the Canadian Armed Forces and to reflect on the conflicts that we got involved in, why we got involved with them, what we stand for as a country, and how it relates to the world around us and the future that we want to build.